At what point do people of British or European or part British or part European ancestry who were born in Australia, as I was, finally say enough is enough? I've had enough of being told that my homeland, my birthright, does not belong to me. I've had enough of watching people whose ancestors did not cultivate this land, did not build this land, did not die for this land, telling me that I am an illegitimate resident of my own country. I've had enough of watching the beautiful streets and landmarks of this country, which is my country and your country and my and your birthright, daily and weekly being sullied, defamed, denigrated, despised, demonised and trashed, and, as the left are so fond of saying, disrespected. You do not have the right to accept my hospitality. You do not have the right to accept my generosity, accept my freedoms and accept my tolerance, and then turn around and spit in my face, literally or even figuratively. You don't. You really don't. I've had enough of knowing that if I send my children or grandchildren to our schools or universities, they will be indoctrinated with poisonous, toxic, Marxist teachings designed to drive them into despair and to drive them into hatred of their wonderful culture, their heritage, their history and their birthright. I've had enough of switching on the telly to be harangued and harassed about my background, my upbringing and my beliefs. I've had enough of being embarrassed to say what I really think about the disappearance of the great Aussie larrikin spirit that once thrived in our suburbs, our supermarkets, at our bus stops and in our servos. A community spirit that relied on no more than a wry comment, a thumbs up, or a knowing wink. I miss G'day Mate, I miss She'll Be Right, I miss Rack Off, I miss She's a Beaut Sort, I miss No Wuckins, I miss Ken Oath, I miss Mrs. Kafoops and her hydrangeas and her iced Vovo bickies. I've had enough of not speaking my mind, of choosing my words ever so carefully, of overthinking the potential meanings, of the potential offence my words might cause to some miserable galah. I've had enough of apologies, I've had enough of sorry. I've had enough of self-flagellating politicians and berating authorities. I've had enough of, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and the council says no to this, and the council says no to that. And I've had enough of, but on the other hand, and I've really had enough of, but you can't say that these days. I've had enough of pretending people who have certain sexual preferences or peccadillos are somehow magically lifted to a higher plane of morality. I've had enough of the dangerous and frequently grotesque mass self-delusions peddled to vulnerable young people in the name of progress, civil rights and sexual self-identification. I've had enough of walking into bookshops and then walking out again because the shelves are crammed with turgid, woke drivel you wouldn't line the budgie cage with. I've had enough of feeling menaced and a stranger in suburbs and places I once happily walked through without a care in the world. And I've had enough of being told I must respect foreign values and alien practices that I have no time for. I've had enough of hearing lies and reading little placards full of woke BS in every museum and at every art gallery or exhibition I visit. I've had enough of random strangers on airlines, in town halls and at otherwise enjoyable events force-feeding me a fabricated reverence for a nonsensical historical proposition built on a ritualised and largely invented ceremony. I've had enough of seeing my taxes, my money, squandered on a television and media empire full of loathsome presenters who clearly despise everything I stand for at the ABC. I've had enough of seeing my taxes, my money, squandered on the idiotic cult of climate extremism that is destroying the wealth and prosperity of the poorest people in this land. I've had enough of people pouring into this country from some of the worst places on earth, being housed, being put on welfare, set up for life, all at my expense, your expense, but at the same time, it's nigh on impossible for most people over a certain age from the Anglosphere to have any realistic hope of moving here. Since when did going multi-culti mean giving up the things we loved? Yes, that is what they are now telling us. Free speech? Sorry, you can't have free speech and social cohesion. Sorry, Premier, when did any of us ever agree to that? I've had enough of funding with my money, your money, modern arts and modern artists who gobble up massive grants and then spew out barely disguised, turgid political propaganda. Ugly, most of it as well. And true artists, true talent, never gets a look in. I've had enough of tripping over empty bike lanes in our CBDs. I've had enough of councils flying flags with pink triangles on them. I've had enough of the stupidity that sees us kidding ourselves that the way to a secure energy future is by pushing water uphill. I've had enough of the idiocy that believes you save the Australian bush by destroying it. I've had enough of the hypocrisy, the humbug and the self-hatred that festers in this country, fuelled by the institutional forces of the rabid left who have destroyed what was once so beautiful and so magnificent, this country. And finally, I've had enough. I really, truly, madly, deeply have had enough of this, every single word of it.
Is being funded, and it's at the heart of what we refer to as the settler colony, the Australian settler colony. And so when we gather here today in solidarity with Palestine, we say the colony will fall.